some bookish content. I know it's been a while. And because of that, I have this big stack, another big stack here, and quite a bit to get through. So, oh, and I also have croup. So if I have a coughing fit in the middle of this, I apologize. Not sponsored by Boltus and Baser, but I wish it was. I have not sorted these into any order, but they're from quite a few different places. First up, also these piles are definitely going to tip at some point. My Lady Witch by Christopher Stasheff. I got this from $5 Sci-Fi and Fantasy on Facebook. I just thought it was cute. It's just a high fantasy novel. I think it's from the 80s originally. Ace Books, New York. Oh no, 1994. So when I was 10. Anyway, looking forward to this one. I'm not sure where to put these after I've done with them. I will just drop down there. This one I found in an op shop, Adventures with a Texas Naturalist. I really loved the books that David Attenborough did about when he was younger, when he was actually going off on trips to find animals for zoos and collections and things like that, before he was sort of doing more television and movies work. And I also really love the Jared Durrell books. So I thought this one with an American setting would be cool. And this one was originally published in 1947. So yeah, back in the days when there was animals to find. I did get this copy of Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee. Apparently I got these from Salvos. This I got just because I have a graphic novel copy of To Kill a Mockingbird, and in case my kids ever want to read follow-up, just grabbed it. Greer, Untamed Shrew by Christine Wallace. This is a biography, and originally owned by R. MacDonald. This one is Tammy McMillan Australia, originally published in 1997. And okay, so it says Untamed Shrew is the first full-length appraisal of the life and work of Australia's most influential export ever. This is more for my wife, because she's a sexologist, so she has a lot of feminist literature. Robert Macfarlane, Mountains of the Mind, A History of Fascination. I like Robert Macfarlane's writing, so I just grabbed this one. I've never actually even heard of it. It's by Granta, originally published in 2003. Yeah, see what it's like. I grabbed this copy of Antarctica by Claire Keegan because I have it on Kindle, and this is $1. So this and a couple of other ones that are here I got from the Good Sammies in Horsehead, and they had a buy 10 for $1 each, or like buy 10 books for $10 or something. So I got a bunch. This is Under the Windermere Tree. This is by Doris Pilkington and Nuji Garamara. And it's Doris's story. She was one of the girls that was the girl that did the Rabbit Proof Fence walked back from Perth to Jigalong. Her name was Molly, and this is her daughter, Doris. I actually also know Doris's granddaughter, which was really cool to meet her. Another one that I've got as an ebook but I haven't read yet is Little Rot. This is meant to be gross in the best way, so we'll see. And same with this, Tender as a Flesh. I haven't actually read it. I do have a Kindle copy, but I haven't read it yet. Of course, this is the one that was sort of one of those cannibal books. It's by Augustina Bazterka. I hope I pronounced that right. And she has written a couple of other ones that I like that I probably don't own copies of, but Anyway, I will put them on the screen here. So yeah, I'm probably going to enjoy this one. It's sort of like, it's dystopic, it's cannibalism, it is a expose on consumptionism and capitalism and what people will do to each other. So yeah, kind of good for this period in history. Crying in H Mart. I don't actually know much about this one. Oh look, there is stickers. I'm pretty sure this is a memoir and it's about grief. Okay, so her mum dies. That's not a spoiler, it's literally the first line. So yeah, sort of a memoir about grief. I lost a really good friend a couple of years ago, which is still devastating to me every day. So grief memoir is something that I'm picking up where I can, just to sort of get that knowledge that I'm not alone in being someone who is grieving for a long time. No, 3 years is a long time to grieve. The Boat by Nam Lee. This is one about immigration. Again, don't know much about it, but let's be good. The Passion by Jeanette Winterson. I have a bunch of Jeanette Winterson books. I really enjoy her writing, and I don't have this one, so I grabbed it. I got 2 of the William Sarabande novels. These were both from Vinnie's on Pinjarra Road. I have some of his other books. I'm looking as if you can see. I will insert a clip. Anyway, he writes about prehistoric Americans, basically. I know that prehistoric isn't really the term that we use anymore. Pre-colonialism Americans. It's like during the Ice Age kind of time. So it's a sort of the same as Jean M. Hall books, which I really enjoyed. So grabbed these ones. Learning to Dance, Elizabeth Joly, Her Life and Work. So this is another biography of an Australian author. This one was first published in 2006. So yeah, I was really impacted by reading The Well in high school. That was the first book. It was the first Gothic fiction that I'd read, and it was also the first book where the ending was so unclear and you had to really draw your own conclusion. I should reread it and see if it's just as mysterious to me now, but I remember reading that and being like, I just want the answers. I really want her to just tell me what the fuck is going on. Yeah, the neurodivergence that I have makes me really hate, for lack of a better term, books that you have to draw your own conclusions, like stuff that leaves things up in the air, things where it's not actually just said to you. I don't like drawing my own conclusions. I want to be told what things mean, because I don't really trust that my conclusions are going to be what the author intended or what other readers have gotten from the text. So yeah, that was the first book that I read that was like that, and I remember just being so frustrated with it. But I also remember it being really good, and I still remember reading it some 25 years later. I got a copy of Edward Said's Orientalism. Again, very topical right now at this time in history, and I just want to read it. The cat just sneezed. Echo. Okay, come here. Turn around. Sit. Sit. Down. All right, now here is 3 that I got from Fabulous Sci-Fi and Fantasy on Facebook. Mike Jeffries' The Lawmasters of Elundium. So I have The Road to Underfall, Palace of Kings, and Shadowlight. And these are just high fantasy novels. This is the whole series, and it was originally written in 1986. I really enjoy fantasy from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. And I haven't read fantasy in quite a while because I can't read romantasy. I just don't like it. And I also, there's a lot of modern fantasy that I read and I'm like, doesn't really do it for me. I read a lot of the Brandon Sanderson things. I remember reading Mistborn and then his other lot. And I just, meh, I didn't care. The last fantasy that I remember enjoying was, yeah, the Robin Hobb. Yeah, because she wrote the last one of that epic in maybe 5 years ago. So yeah, that's the last time I remember actually enjoying fantasy that was written in the last decade. I can't think of anything else that I have liked. So going back to older fantasy written decades ago, and wish me luck with it. These two I grabbed from Boundless Books in Leadville. Shout out to them. I will come pick up that copy of that book I ordered at some point when I get back up to the city. So I got Fault Lines, Australia's Unequal Past, a timely and moving collection on injustice in Australia. I am an anthropologist and I work in Indigenous spaces, mostly Indigenous Australian spaces. So I just really love grabbing any Indigenous books, especially when they are through the lens that colonisation was a horrendous thing that is still happening. Yeah, and what we can do about it now. And then I finally got a copy of Hexes of the Deadwood Forest by Agnieszka Spila. I know I butchered that. I'm really sorry. I will put a clip of me looking it up on Google and trying to pronounce it properly. Agnieszka Spila. I listened to that about 20 times. So I'm only this far into it. And yes, I dog eat my books. And it is just insane. It's so well written and so well translated, but it is also just insane. So yeah, it's this oil company CEO, Anna, who has like she's like that self-made woman. And it is sort of the beginning of it is sort of this is what happens when you become the kind of person that you are. Like, everyone hates you and your parents are so bewildered at what you've become, and you have to have this keeping up appearances thing that is just non-stop. And yeah, and then she fucks a tree. And then from there, that's where I'm up to. Like, there's just sort of the immediate fallout of her fucking this tree and having it caught on camera by a journalist. And then, yeah, apparently she goes to this earth cult, and whether it's real or in her head remains to be seen. I feel like this kind of, is it real? Is it a psychotic break? Is it like, what is going on? You don't really know until the very end. Is becoming a more common trope, and I am here for it. There is that book Yesteryear, that where the girl just wakes up one day and she's gone back in time, but you're kind of left feeling like, how did this happen? Like, what could have caused this? And I won't spoil that for people. I haven't actually read Yesteryear. I just googled the synopsis and put plus spoilers at the end because I'm not going to get around to reading it. I haven't had a lot of time for reading lately. And I just wanted to know. So I know what happens at the end, and you probably know what happens at the end because so many people have read it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this kind of trope in literary fiction. I finally got a copy of Dave's Perth. I got this from MountStreetBooksor. Hi, James. And hi, Dave. Yeah. Dave is the brother of a work colleague of mine, and he also taught me at uni. I did several units under him while I was doing my master's degree, and he writes a really cool crime fiction that is set in Perth and sort of the surrounds in the last, I think from the 60s or 70s onwards. I haven't read all of them, but it's very good, and it's some of them just make me so nostalgic for the Perth of my childhood, but also I recognize that the Perth of my childhood was just not the best place, especially not for someone queer and neurodivergent. So yeah, it's kind of like the places I really miss, and sort of the lifestyle, but not so much the people and the attitudes. Yeah. Anyway, James says that this is incredible, and also will give me that nostalgia that I enjoy. So grabbed this one and looking forward to reading that. Oh, 2 left in this pile. Gwen Harwood is a poet that I was introduced to in high school in year 11 lit, and I really liked her stuff. And I have a collection, which is just sort of a partial collection, which I also found in an op shop. This is from an op shop. This is from the sellers. I can tell by the label. Yeah, so she is also an Australian poet. She was born in 1920 in Brisbane. And yeah, this one, I think this is the full collection. So this is 1943 to 1995. I don't know. Poetry is so hit and miss. I really enjoy, I have a copy over there of Karaka, Small Writing. And I really enjoy that kind of Indigenous poetry. I will put a little, my poetry collection is over there. I will put can editing me fit this in? This is my poetry collection. And yeah, it is a lot of Indigenous stuff, some modern stuff like Ruby Kaur, who I do actually like. I enjoy that stuff. Katie, my friend who died, she was a poet, and she was very much in that style of sort of Ruby Kaur, that modern poetry. I have dabbled, can't say I've ever produced anything good. So yeah, when it comes to older poetry, I think I also have a collection of D.H. Lawrence. I have Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I have Emily Dickinson, of course. And I have a lot of Seamus Heaney, because his poetry, which I was also introduced to in year 11 lit. So thanks, Stony, for introducing me to some absolutely amazing poetry, and also to the handmade stuff. Anyway, I really enjoy Gwen Harwood. And it's one of those things where I feel like poetry books is not something that you ever read like page by page. You just kind of dip in and out of it. And it's just, I won't read it to you because I have such a scratchy voice at the moment, and there's no way that I will do it justice. I don't know how close that fold is. But this, it's just beautiful. It's so lyrical. It's, I don't know. So yeah, I think this is her full collection of published works. Obviously you can never ever get everything, because there will always be things that were not published. So this does have uncollected poems. But yeah, this is, I think, the most comprehensive collection of Gwen Harwood poetry that has been published. So happy to have this one, and I will pass the other collection of Gwen Harwood that doesn't have everything on. The washing machine keeps beeping. Julian's washing machine beeps until you open the door. And it drives me insane every single time, because it never does it when I can get up and open the door immediately. Just beep once. Just beep once and have done. This one is a Reader's Digest, a complete book of the garden from 1967. I love these vintage gardening books. I think it's even got colour plates. So yeah, I just think they're so lovely. But also I'm collecting these to do sort of some craft projects with them. I think I have another copy of this exact one. And then I also picked up, a whole heap of non-fiction stuff, which I will show you here. And yeah, so whenever I see a Culpeper's Colour Herbal or Reader's Digest Garden, or like the Australian Native Plants ones, especially if they have colour plates or colour photos, I grab them because they just are really good for doing craft. Stuff is really pretty. Practice. I mean, I hate to be the they don't make them like they used to kind of person, but they just really don't. Okay. Next pile. Are you sleepy? Gillian is away at an event. It's like a mixer for a conference that she was presenting at, but then her co-presenter was ill, so she's not presenting anymore, but she's still going to the conference. So she had the mixer tonight, and I couldn't go because I don't want to mix when I'm this sick. I feel like absolute trash. Really, I just have some soup on the stove. It's gonna be delicious. We'll do this video. You'll watch Wildfern's new book recommendations video. Just chill. Okay, I found, and this was at Salvo's Rockingham, the Raven Boys quad by Maggie Stiefvater. I also don't know anything about this. I'm pretty sure it's just high fantasy, and I know that I said that I don't like modern fantasy, but I have liked some of Stiefvater's stuff. So just, and also, when do you ever see all four together in an op shop in one go? These were, she charged me $2 each for these. It was great. So I'll give this a go. Hopefully I like it. If not, it will get popped into Rosie's little free library. Oh, the D.H. Lawrence selected poems. This one, oh my gosh, it has, so I have one of these embossing stamps. My mum got Gillian and I one each for Christmas a few years ago. Mine's a little bit more fancy than this one, but I just think they're so lovely. So this book was originally owned by John William Hepper. Yeah, I think that's cute. Also, I have not been keeping up with stamping my books. So at some point when I do library tour, it's coming. I think I will check everything and stamp all the ones that I don't, because even the stuff that I end up passing on after I've read it, I love when I find stuff like this, or little dedications or any marginalia. I think it's great, so I always make sure to do it in my books, and I don't mind annotating and dog earing and then passing things on, because then the next person that gets it knows that it was well loved. This Everyman one was first published in 1992. And it has a little intro to Lawrence's life, sort of just a timeline, introduction, and does not say if this is a complete collection, but it does span poetry through his entire life. This Everyman volume contains 237 poems, together with 6 of Lawrence's most important essays on poetry. Men wanted to be like gods, so they became like machines, and now even they're not satisfied. When strife is a thing of two, each knows the other in struggle, and the conflict is a communion, a two-ness. But when strife is a thing of one, a single ego striving for its own ends and beating down resistances, then strife is evil because it is not strife. I know. I also got Charles Bukowski's Women. Bukowski is a super polarizing author because he is such a misogynist. I have a couple of his poetry books. I have Post Office. I think I have something else. I will do the Anyway, I keep bringing up Katie, but this was one of her favorite authors. So I grab his stuff whenever I can, whenever I see it secondhand, and at some point I'll get around to reading it and I will let you know my thoughts. A hardcover of Slammikin by Emma Donoghue. Emma Donoghue is an author for me, and I'm sort of slowly getting her back catalogue. I have quite a few. You can't see them. This one is from 2000. Picked up a copy of Francesca Albanese's When the World Sleeps, Stories, Words and Wounds of Palestine. I bought this new because I wanted to support Francesca Albanese. And I think that we need to put forward Palestinian voices and any voices that are explaining what is going on with the genocide in Palestine. And yeah, I have quite a collection of Palestinian novels. Well, not novels, Palestinian nonfiction. I think one of them might be a novel. Anyway, because yeah, I think it is really important to support people who are talking about these things that need to be spoken about, because it's just so horrific. But also, I do need to protect my peace to some degree. So I haven't read any of them yet. You do what you can. Picked up Ava Reid's A Study in Drowning. I don't think I've actually read anything by Ava Reid. I have a couple of her other ones that I've also picked up secondhand. Comes highly recommended. This is one of the fairy tale ones. She also does romantasy, I think, and maybe dark academia, but both of those are genres that I don't gel with. Dark academia in general, I don't want to read characters who are the age you are when you are first in college if you go straight after high school. I just don't care. Grabbed a copy of Life on Air by David Attenborough. Like I said before, I have his other two books about before he was sort of on like broadcasting on BBC. This also has lots of plates which are really cool. Yeah, so he is a really good memoirist. I grabbed this one by Inga Simpson, Nest. Inga is a Australian author. She also writes a lot of nature writing essays and things. Her latest book, I think it was the latest, is about a cricketer. So I have not read that because I have absolutely no interest in cricket. I can't think of anything. I would rather read romantasy than a book about cricket. But everything else that she's done, I've really enjoyed. This is from 2014, and it is a fiction novel. I have been slowly building back up some of the fantasy collections and just collections in general that I gave away when I moved into this house. I donated, I think it ended up being 12 crates of books to just pop shops because a lot of my shelves broke when I moved house. A lot of them were not in great condition anyway. So, and I couldn't really afford new shelves, and I sort of was like, I've read all these books, I don't need to keep them. So I gave them away, and then I had a panic attack that lasted about a week and a half. And when I say I had a panic attack that lasted a week and a half, I don't mean like, oh, I was like panicky and my stuff. Like, I mean like for nearly a week and a half, I couldn't breathe properly. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't eat properly. I was in full blown panic. I thought my world was ending. I thought I was going to die. So I don't suggest giving a majority of your book collection away at any time, especially when you're about to move house, and especially when your mental health isn't great to begin with. Anyway, I also was sort of like, why did I do that? There's a lot of stuff I want to read again. Like I gave away all the Robin Hobb, which I have now replaced all of, I'm pretty sure. I reread that series every couple of years, the whole lot, like all 15, 16 books. Why did I give it away? Also, I gave away all of my Feist. And yeah, replacing that was really hard. Anyway, the Cushios books by Jacqueline Carey. This is sort of the original romantasy. It's not. It's they're BDSM books. They're great. This one, so it starts with Namar. I'll put them here. They're great. World building is, and the BDSM elements are really great. The sex work representation is fantastic. The fantasy is lovely. The love story is beautiful. I cannot recommend these books enough, but people who have them tend to hold on to them and not give them to op shops. So I was quite happy when I found this one for $4. And it's one that I haven't replaced yet. I'm not going to buy books off Amazon or from bookshops to replace books that I've had before. I can wait. I will just find them all in op shops. I did also get a Tales of the Atori book by Leanne Hearn. I got Acceptance by Jeff Vandermeer. I got The Last Four Things by Paul Hoffman. The City of Mirrors by Justin Cronin. Just to have collections of, like, all of those I've already read. I just want to have them, but I'm not going to pay more than $5 for them. The Cronin ones are actually really hard to find. I see copies of The Passage everywhere, but the other two books in that series I don't think I've actually seen in op shops. So the City of Mirrors I got from $5 Sci-Fi and Fantasy, and then I think it's the second one that I'm missing. Maybe the third. I don't know which ones are in order. But yeah, I'm just going to keep looking until I find that copy, and then I will reread the trilogy. I went to a book swap organised by the Perth Book Club. It really didn't end up being my scene. There was a lot of romance people there, which is fine. Like if you like that and you're reading, then more power to you. I think more reading is always better. But yeah, it was a book swap, so it was kind of there wasn't really anything that I wanted to swap the 5 books that I bought for. And someone bought a copy of Speed Cleaning. Why would you think that that was an appropriate thing to put in a book swap? I don't understand. Anyway, I got Melaleuca by Angie Faye Martin. This is a fairly new book. I think it was from last year or the year before. It's Australian, 2025. And yeah, it's just a mystery thriller, Australian kind of stuff. I do enjoy Australian crime and murder mystery books. So I'll give this one a go, and hopefully there's other events that I enjoy better that are more my scene. I was sitting at a table with a group of girls, all of who were much younger than me. They were all sort of in their early 20s. And there was a couple of girls that had moved to Australia. There was a girl that was on a temporary visa, and she was planning to go up north for work, because if you're on a temp visa, you have to do sort of a rural remote placement for work for a couple of months. So we sort of talked about my experiences in the desert, and other places that she could go and where to visit when she has time off. And then there was another girl who had moved from the Netherlands, I think, with her boyfriend, and they are settling in Perth and going to become dual citizens and stuff. So it was really cool talking to her about her experience with moving here. And then yeah, there was just a couple. It was a really mixed group, but all girls in their early 20s, and I absolutely freaked them the fuck out by talking about Lucy Rose's The Lamb. They asked me what I read. I said horror. Most of what I read now is classified as horror, and I was sort of like, oh, okay, like what's a good horror book? And I don't know, The Lamb, I think, while it's really gruesome and very intense, I think it's also sort of a good story. Like, it's a good one for people to start with because it's girls, and I don't know. It's also sort of really popular. Like, there's a lot of horror that's really niche. Thinking like The Worm and His Kings, and um, the works of Vermin and things like that. Like, that's not something that I would give to someone who is starting their journey in horror. But The Lamb is something that I would recommend. And I made James pick up a couple of copies for Mount Street Books. So of that, and then Buffalo Hunter Hunter, and maybe one more, and he's sold a bunch of copies of them. So yeah, that's cool. But yeah, The Lamb is sort of one of those ones that I will recommend as a first foray into horror, because if you can get through The Lamb and want to read more, then yeah, you're there. These girls were appalled. They were absolutely appalled that tropes like cannibalism exist in the world. Like, I blew their minds. And they were just all looking at me like, why would you bring this to us? Anyway, I found it very funny. It's just the kind of person I am. Let's move on. I found this copy of Jerusalem by Amos Elon. I did double check when I was in the op shop that I got this from, whether Amos Elon was a Zionist, and he was originally, but now he is a very outspoken critic of Zionism. So I thought that this one was worth getting. And it's a biography of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a character very much in this book. So yeah, it's sort of like the history and right up to, well, it's not modern day because this was done in 1989, but yeah, it's kind of a history of Jerusalem, but also sort of how Jerusalem fits into the world stage, and the Israel-Palestine conflict, and sort of the British colonial project, and all of those sorts of things, and how all of that has created this city that is a repository of memory. Yeah, looking forward to reading this one. Ooh, again, still trying to get back collections of fantasy from, when was this? This is early 2000s, maybe? 2001. Yeah. So Kate Forsyth is also an Australian author. Seeing if it has a little author. So that's her. I don't think it has a biography. No, it just has the author's note. Yeah, these are the two that I was missing out of this. I think it's 8-book series. I will insert it here. And yeah, these are really good. It's a Celtic witchcraft saga. Yeah, glad to have found these ones. I got this copy of Kim Scott's Benang from the Heart because I always assumed that I had read this, and I haven't. And this was quite a nice Fremantle Press copy, so I grabbed this one. And this is a Indigenous story. So raised in a culture of forced assimilation and grappling with his white grandfather's expectations for Harley's success, the young man confronts a haunting question. If he rejects white success, then is he also betraying his Noongar ancestors? How can he reconcile the history of his people with the dark legacy represented by another part of his own lineage? In a quest for belonging, Harley embarks on a profound journey as he pieces together the brutally interrupted history of the Noongar people through stories, dreams, rhythms, songs, and images, as well as colonial records of oppression. Kim Scott. There's a couple of Indigenous authors who I really, really enjoy, and I just find them so scathing in a way that thrills me. So Kim Scott is one, Bruce Pascoe is another, Melissa Lukashenko, I probably butchered that, the girl who wrote the Swan book, and Claire Coleman. Now, all of these authors, all Australian Indigenous, and they just write with just this unexpected sparkle of irony and critique, and I don't know, I just really enjoy it. I read Kim Scott's book. This is signed. Bonus. Yeah, so Kim Scott's book, was it Taboo or The Dead Man Dance? I'm not sure. There's a book, I don't know, there was just this scene of like this runaway bus or something, truck, I don't know. And I remember reading that book and just, I had it on audio and I had no idea what was going on. The whole book. Like, I was just like, am I missing something or whatever? And then in the last kind of chapter, he wraps everything up so neatly and everything just clicks into place and makes sense. But also, it's just so tongue in cheek and so scathing. I just really, really loved it. I started to read Alexis Wright's, it might have been Carpentaria. And yeah, same thing, just scathing, just so clever and funny and dark humor. And she does these really run-on sentences, which is also like Kim Scott does them as well, where it's like the sentence starts here and you sort of think there, and then it goes here, and then here, and then back here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then here. And you kind of, if you're not paying attention, you get really muddled up. But by the time it sort of wraps up and comes full circle, it's just like each sentence is just this journey. And then when you come back to where you started, you're just like, oh, my whole world just got blown apart with just one sentence. And you have to read them to understand what I'm talking about, because I'm not doing any justice just trying to describe it. But yeah, they're just, those authors, just the tongue-in-cheek and the sharp wit, I just really appreciate. Anyway, so yeah, glad to have picked up a secondhand copy of Benang that's signed, and I'm actually going to prioritize reading them. I got another plant book just for craft purposes. Side note, my front garden finally has a lot of seeds coming up, and I have nettles this year to make nettle tea and nettle soup, hopefully. So yeah, that's really, you know, like I'm 42 and I get excited about nettles, like stinging nettles, like the plant that everyone else is trying to get rid of. And I saw them today. They'd finally come up and they're only like this big, and I'm like, my world is complete. I think like 8-year-old me and 14-year-old me would be very happy with who I am now. But sort of 19 to 21-year-old me thinks that I am an absolute traitor. Anyway. Okay, last two. I found Henry Miller's Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer, Henry Miller's first and probably still best known book, published in Paris in 1934 and immediately banned in all English-speaking countries. Full of erotic fantasy and adventure, captures to the full the carefree life of an American writer in Paris during the 30s. Why not? Yeah. I don't know. I've never read Miller. I just saw it and thought, it's one of those books that was banned. I'm gonna get it. Finally, I got this absolutely gorgeous, it's just so colourful, biography of David Bowie by Jerome Saulnier. This only covers 1967 to 1980, but one could probably say that that was the David Bowie years. So this is like mostly his musical career up until 1980. I actually think it is one of the best things that I can say about living now, about having been born in 1984, living through the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, and then like 2010s, and then COVID years, and then up to now where the world is just absolutely going to shit. And we are in this dystopic capitalist hellscape, but through all of that, through everything like that has happened in my life, all the sort of terrible things that have happened to me personally, but also throughout the entire world, or to people that I love, or to things that I care about, through all of that, I existed on this planet at the same time as David Bowie. There is possibly water molecules that were inside his body that have also been inside my body. It's not likely, but it's possible. Anyway, this has beautiful color plates. Man, like, oh, it's just, he was just perfection. He was just absolute perfection. I love his music. I love his style. I love, I don't know if you guys would have heard it, but like the story about the hairdresser. I think it was a moth story. He was just a nice guy, and he loved his wife. And he was just beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. Even when he released his last album, it's a Black Star. Yeah, and we were all like, oh cool, a new Bowie album. And then like it got released and we all listened to it because everyone bought it the day that it came out. And so we'd all listened to it and we'd all been like, oh, this is different. This is different. And then it was like, what, the next day that he said he had terminal cancer. And we were all like, that makes sense. That the whole album now makes sense. And yeah, it was devastating. It was awful. But yeah, he was like still pretty hot when he was doing the film clips for the songs that he did do film clips for that album. Anyway, I'm not going to be able to read this anytime soon. It is a chonker, but I'm really happy to have it, and I probably will dip in and out to just read some of the I imagine outrageous stories that are in here. Okay, cool. I will also insert, oh, that's going to fall. Don't fall on, no, don't. I just don't want it to fall on the tripod lens. I will insert a photo of the mess that I have made because I have not piled any of these up properly. But yeah, nice to hang out with you. Cheers. Click all the buttons and stuff. I hope I feel better soon, and I will see you in the next one.